Well, hello everybody. This is Louise Eddington, the Cosmic Owl of Cosmic Owl Astrology. And here I am with a video for the Leo new moon that's coming up on the 24th. And holy heck, it is one big new moon. But before I start, I'd just like to give you an invitation to subscribe, like, and consider joining my Spiral Weave membership. And don't forget that my book series in astrology is coming out officially on August the 12th. But at sacredthreadsimprint.com, you could order a signed copy directly from me now. So just go there if you want to. I'm so grateful for every one of you that has already ordered it. I'm kind of blown away, to be quite honest. Now I have to sign them all, but that's okay. Leo creative, right? So anyway, so I'm calling this Sacred Power Rising, and it's absolutely nuts. And I will be looking at the whole thing, of course, and we'll look at the charts in a minute. But let me just tell you that this new moon is opposing Pluto, but it's also got two kite configurations. It's got a golden yard, it's got a T-square, and an envelope configuration. It's kind of got all these patterns happening in the chart. Everything pretty much is speaking to each other. But so this is not your average new moon. We're talking so much power portal of sacred reckoning. So I'll put it all together with a full reading of the card I pulled as well, which happens to be the universe card. Tell you, I love this new moon, but you'll find out why as we go through. But the numbers first. The new moon is at 2 Leo. The power of two, relationship, reflection, sacred duality, inner and outer leadership. It's also a 22 universal day, which is master builder energy, a day when something is laid down for the long haul, big legacy shift vibes. Okay. And 2 really is the number of the sacred feminine, if you want to still go into that binary of masculine feminine, because it's all interconnected, right? So anyway, so just a quick thing on the card again, full reading at the end, the crowning card, completion, culmination, and cosmic graduation. So you'll want to stay for the full reading at the end, especially from this deck. This deck is so special. But first, a little bit about the energy, then I'll show you the configurations, then we'll talk about what all this means. So Leo is the heart, the sovereign, the creative child, the flame of self-expression. And then it's opposing Pluto. This is the most significant aspect and the most exact. It's facing off to Pluto in Aquarius, which is the unmasking of collective systems, the revolution of power, technological alchemy, and the deep future rising. This opposition asks who really holds the power and what does sacred power feel like in the body? And I'm going to add in the heart. Now then, I'm going to share my charts. I've got 2 to share actually, just bear with me. Couldn't see past the microphone. So here we go. And I'm not going to leave these up the whole time, but I'll talk about what's in them, and then I'll stop the share and show you or talk to you about what all this means. So here we have the new moon. I should say it's already also on a 6th day, but and a 7 months and a 9 year, but I'm not going to go into all those numbers. This is the new moon. It's at 2 degrees 9 minutes Leo, and it's almost exactly opposing Pluto, and they're actually what's called in an applying aspect, which means the moon and sun are moving towards Pluto and Pluto's moving towards them aspect wise. So this is a very, very tight opposition, and I'll talk about what all these mean in a minute. Then we have this fire grand trine formed by the new moon. So it's forming a trine to an unbroken flow aspect to Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries. And you can see here that they are only 5 minutes, no, 15 minutes apart. Sorry, not 5, 15 minutes apart. They are moving really close together from today, actually, when I record this, the 16th, I think we're on. I can't remember. What day are we on? And also 17th, sorry. And right through this new moon. And then, of course, they are going to be exactly together at 0 Aries early next year. But then we have Black Moon Lilith over here in Sagittarius. I use the true calculation in case anybody looks at their charts and cannot and goes, what? I've always used the true calculation because Black Moon Lilith told me to. So I'll tell you what all that means in a minute. So this fire grand trine is a part of both the kites. The first one points at Pluto in Aquarius. The second one points at Uranus and Sedna in Gemini. And of course, these are part of this mini grand trine that's going on and on and on over the next few months. And that's part of this envelope pattern. So Sun, Moon to Black Moon Lilith, making a mystic rectangle to Pluto and Uranus and Sedna, and pointing at Saturn and Neptune. Saturn and Neptune are playing a big part in this, but so are all the outer planets. It's just kind of intensely crazy. So that's the two kites, and I will go back and talk about that again, and the envelope and the mystic rectangle. Then we actually also have a T-square. So as I mentioned, it's opposing Pluto almost exactly, but this is also square to Haumea and Hecate in Scorpio. I'm going to say a fixed T-square. And lastly, we have this golden yod, also sometimes known as the magician's hat or sorcerer's hat. And this is made up of the quintiles. And because it's, oh, not that one. Sorry. There we go. I did just a chart with that one. This is the golden yod. It's like a yod, only formed by a quintile with 2 biquintiles, rather than a sextile and 2 quincunxes. This is 72-degree aspect. This is 144-degree aspect, twice 72. And I'll talk about what that means in a minute. But you can see where it's coming from. The moon, the moon's south node and Mars, which are conjunct on the 20th. So I was talking about that a little bit as well. Don't have time to do a separate video for that. Black Moon Lilith again pointing, and this time pointing at Eris and Chiron in Aries. We've also got some other quintiles and biquintiles, and they're not that rare in themselves. But I will mention that Mercury retrograde is making a mini kind of quintile trine to Uranus and Sedna in Gemini, and to the North Node and Nessus in Pisces. So there's all the themes that we've been working on are coming up. But let's focus on the heart. But here we go with some of a breakdown of all of this, because it's a lot, right? So first we have the exact opposition, the new moon in Leo opposing Pluto in Aquarius. This is about a deep purge of power dynamics. It's about confronting the shadow of control, influence, and legacy in all ways. But I'm going to say particularly about those that rule or we've given our power away to. Okay, I think we can see that happening already, but more of this. This is also activating the Mars-Pluto opposition that we had 3 times over recent months. So this is, it's a massive, massive new moon. Then the fire grand trine. I love fire grand trines, being a fire sign myself. So we have the new moon, Saturn, Neptune in Aries, black moon, Lilith in Sagittarius. This is creative ignition, spiritual responsibility, and wild feminine wisdom and truth. This really is, this fire grand trine is kind of, you are born for this, you were born for this energy. This is legacy through purpose, through living from your heart. Okay. Then we have the kite number 1 coming from that fire grand trine. So that is opposing Pluto. So that anchors the fire grand trine with Pluto in Aquarius. This is a kite of sovereignty and shadow alchemy. It's like pulling the bowstring back and directional momentum into soul-aligned power. Then the second kite. So we have the fire trine again, but now Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius is opposing Uranus and Sedna in Gemini. So this is the wild feminine, Black Moon Lilith, calling out tech babble and distortion. Sedna and Uranus, which is oceanic trauma meeting sudden liberation. And this is a voice coming from the deep. And when I say the deep, I don't just mean from the deep emotionally, I mean from the deep memories as well, the past. It's again another huge aspect. Then we have the envelope pattern, which is formed by a mystic rectangle and then 2 sextiles. And the 2 sextiles are pointing at Saturn and Neptune in Aries, which again are moving so close together right now. This is vision with bones, right? This is the sacred masculine's restructuring, because boy, doesn't it need restructuring from this power over paradigm to the power from within, from taking a stand for yourself and knowing who you are rather than trying to control others. This also, this envelope is an integration of willpower, mysticism, and feminine agency or sacred feminine agency within each of us. All right. Now the T-square. So the new moon again opposes Pluto, but this time it squares Haumea and Hecate in Scorpio. And I have written about the Pluto Haumea square happening 13 times this decade from 2022 to 2028. They're not quite square yet, but they are approaching another square. I think it's their 8th. Anyway, so this T-square is a sacred birth canal. This is kind of representing the underworld midwives. Pluto and Hecate are very both associated with that crossroads into the underworld, right? But this one is saying resistance to feminine transformation will crumble. All right. So, you know, much as they try and cling onto the power, Scorpio and Pluto, it's rising. And when I say feminine, I do mean women, but I don't mean only women, right? I mean the sacred feminine yin principle of feeling, intuition, and all those things rising to its equal place. Now the golden yard. I happen to have a golden yard in my chart, so you know I love it when I spy one of these. This golden yard is from the Mars South Node conjunction that is exact on July 20th, and that's in Virgo, and that's making a quintile aspect, 72 degrees to Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius, and both of these are pointing to Eris and Chiron in Aries. First, a little bit, though, about this Mars South Node conjunction, because this happens just 4 days before the new moon. This is about ancestral skill sets, bringing these in practical ways, about fierce devotion, about disciplined healing, and about serving from wisdom, not from the wound. With it being the South Node, Mars on the South Node in Virgo, is about purging old models of being of service that come from martyrdom and over-giving and this sense of humbling yourself and going, oh, you've got to do everything I can for you, to the point you feel resentful. But this Mars South Node conjunction is inviting you to embrace embodied sacred service, which includes service to yourself first. But then we have this golden yod that involves that Mars South Node conjunction. So the quintile to Black Moon Lilith. This is sacred geometry of skill, craft, and creative genius. This is about letting your wild truth out, that Black Moon Lilith in Sagittarius, letting go of that old Virgo kind of over hypercriticism, can never perfectionism, can never do enough. This is saying cut that out. Okay. And then the golden yod as a whole is about opportunities disguised as chaos, transformation through sacred service. And if you remember, this is pointing at that Saturn, Neptune, sorry, that Chiron, I'm getting confused, so many aspects, Chiron, Eris conjunction. This is really kind of saying it's time to step up, say, I can do this and I can be a part of this healing. First by healing myself and then healing others. Okay. All right. I am going to read the Sabian symbols and the Chandra symbols for you because this is such a big new moon. I'm going to read the whole thing. So I love this actually. Leo 3, the Sabian symbol, is a woman having her hair bobbed. Now, if you remember the flappers, that kind of thing, that's when women started cutting their hair bobbed. I have a bob. So this is a symbol of human independence carried to a point of self-examination and emphasized in a desire for greater participation in the momentary trends and heightened values of the social milieu. This is an open invitation to every possibility of personal experience and a willingness to grasp the least promising opportunity in order to achieve an enlarged significance. The soul accepts every minor modification of itself in order to perfect the channels of its creative self-expression. So this is about self-mobilization for the sake of personal growth. And I'm going to go and read James Burgess' interpretation as well, because some of Mark Edmund Jones' ones are a little bit, anyway. So he says this is about doing things in our own way. It says some of society's constraints are life-denying and are to be resisted by those who claim freedom of expression. This is outright just a refusal to conform to inappropriate rules. You know, there are some good reasons why society tries to impose limitations sometimes. It has to do so in order to protect the collective, but that must not stop us from finding a harmless way to express our nature, our desires, our sense of style, even if we become marginalized by doing so. This is really about being who you are, okay? Doing things your own way. It's about saying, this is who I am, like the flappers did, right? It's really about self-reckoning, all right? Now then, we're going to look at the Chandra symbols. So these were channeled by John Sandbach, and well, I'm going to look at the Omega symbol first, because I always find these really good and really powerful. So this is walking down the street, a person passes their double. He says that this is, you may feel pulled in many directions, especially with all those aspects, right? If you jump around from one thing to another too much, you may be entertained for a while and will maybe elude temporarily what your deep inner self or your heart knows it has to do. You need to keep asking yourself, why am I focused on this? Your goal is to rein in your curiosity and come back to what is important to your heart and your heart's desires. Now, the Chandra symbol is a rickshaw. Loving to run here, run there, it can be a means of connecting and synthesizing all into increasing patterns of harmony and progress. If you allow your intuition to guide you where to go next, or it can be just a lot of scrambling around in a desperate effort to avoid these things you really need to look at. And those places you really need to go. Now, if you kind of think about all of this together with the twos, the 22s, the aspects, Leo being the heart and everything, this really is all about, it's a fixed sign coming back into what your heart desires, and that more creative, intuitive self-expression, heart-led kind of energy. Okay. Interesting as well, though, he channeled a Pleiadian symbol, which is like the Sabian symbol rechanneled, is a female priestess having her head shaved. So this, speaks to me of really kind of, I don't know if anybody ever watched the drag girl with the dragon tattoo, the movie. And I love the books especially, actually, but Lisbeth, she's kind of that archetypal kind of, I'm me, take it or leave it. She's a little bit punk, she's a little bit fiery, she's a little bit feisty, she's a bit of an outsider. She's very like Eris in many ways, which is where that golden yard is pointing. This is the key to healing, is to be yourself and do it in your own way. Okay. But without doing harm to others. Anyway, so first I'm going to read about the card. I'm actually going to read some notes I took. Then this lovely quotes in the book with this Red Threads Tarot. So I'm going to get the book and read those. So this is about bringing it home with a sense of culmination and destiny. So really, I invite you to feel the resonance of completion and new creation. If you've listened to mine and some of the others, other astrologers who are tuned into this bigger picture, we are telling you that we are coming to the end, even though it doesn't always seem like it, of the power over paradigm. It's collapsing, okay, very quickly. So I want to read you first the quote that is with this book from the amazing Alan Watts. Through our eyes, the universe is perceiving itself. Through our ears, the universe is listening to its harmonies. We are the witnesses through which the universe becomes conscious of its glory, of its magnificence. And the soul journey for this card. Okay, to bring balance, freedom, integrity, wholeness, unity, and integration into all our relations, we need to avoid placing our projections on to another. This is about taking responsibility for our own self. The universe is within you, okay? And this means we don't need to rely on others to create our happiness and truths. A conscious relationship requires truth, clarity, understanding, compassion, and growth, and immense self-care. I always talk about that. And learning to love yourself. All right, because you contain the universe within you. As Rumi said, everything in the universe is within you. So we, like the universe, evolve, interact, journey, expand, and dance this spiral of evolution. All right, so I'm going to sum it all up. This Leo new moon is such a cosmic reckoning point with all those aspects the kites, the golden yard, the T-square, the envelope. This is a divine choreography. We are not returning to old power structures. This new moon invites us into the rise of the sacred feminine, the end of hierarchies, and the sovereign embodiment of soul-gifted leadership. The universe is crowning, and you are the one stepping through. Woof. So lastly, again, I invite you to subscribe, like, leave me a comment, share with others that are navigating this fire. And I'd like to mention the Spiral Weave membership again. You could join here, but I prefer you join on Substack, link below, because it's easier to navigate. Okay, and don't forget, my book is available for pre-sale, signed copies right now from sacredimprints.com, link below. But please remember, you were made for this moment. So go dance in the fire of your own becoming.